Everybody is wondering what and where they all came
Hey,
from.
Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt. We are a couple of days late, but we are talking about the series finale of The Leftovers, the Book of Nora.
Yes.
So this is it. It's over.
Yep.
It's done.
No more.
A satisfying conclusion, I think, to the end of the series.
I'm satisfied.
You were satisfied?
Very satisfied. Very happy.
Very cool. So, yeah, so general thoughts, you thumbs up.
Yes.
How would you compare it, say, to other finales, generally? I mean, I know that's kind of a
Yeah, I haven't
typical
even
thing to
thought
say.
about that, so I will refuse to answer that question.
Okay, but as the thing finished, you weren't thinking,
Oh, yeah, no. I
okay.
was
Which some series I can't think of one right off,
Correct.
but you're like, oh my god, really?
correct.
Okay.
I mean, I think that, as I think I stated before, at least the story was about the people, and even though we got more of an answer about what was going on than I expected, still there were more questions about that, and I think that's the way the show intended it. So the important thing was what happened to the characters, and the interesting thing of not showing you what happened to a number of characters, just telling you. But I think it's completely fair that the core of the show is Nora and Kevin.
Agreed, and we might as well discuss that. So we'll jump into the the MacGuffin of sorts. What is the departure and
Yes.
what was said about it? So, assuming Laura is telling the truth, which I think she is.
I mean, I think she believes. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
Here's the deal. Okay, we're taking things out of order a bit here, but Nora essentially recounts the story that we're about to describe. She describes what the departure is like and what it represents. We do not see her in this other world that she claims to have been to. Whereas in earlier episodes, obviously when Kevin goes to his version of another world,
Right.
we see it.
Right.
Here they deliberately are like, nope, we're just going to have her talk about it. So it is up to interpretation, but
And it doesn't seem like, from the way that Nora described it, that it was a world like the ones Kevin's were entering.
Agreed. I think I was actually going to bring this up, so we'll talk about it now. That is a huge difference. I mean, Kevin is
Yes.
not going to this other place. He is going to, in his mind.
Like a purgatory or something?
Yeah, purgatory.
I mean, it could be in his mind.
But some kind of an afterworld, an afterlife.
Where people are
scenario.
interacting with him rather directly. He gets a role to play,
Yes.
and people are saying you have to do these things, and in order to get back.
And it is, I believe we talked about this, people who are dead, I think, are the people in his world.
Right. Yeah, but I think, arguments could be made that perhaps those people aren't the people that they claim to be.
Sure. But I'm just saying, in other words, it's not in his version
Especially
of...
if it's in his mind.
In his mind.
Are they all in his mind?
His
like
mind has carefully placed all the dead people in his way. So it's like, no living people allowed. But so yes, that is not the world that Nora
Describes.
claims to have gone to.
Right.
It is. They are two different things. So what she describes is the device works. She ends up in an identical Earth. And she doesn't say it this way, but I think the easiest way to describe it is, it seems like the departure was essentially one Earth ripping into two parts.
Yeah, she doesn't describe it that way. What she says is they lost us.
Right, which it just sounds like...
So
I think what they're saying is like they didn't create new people. There's not another Nora.
Correct.
There's one of everybody, and they're living on this planet, and then it goes whoop, and so 98% of the people were on this version, and 2% of the people were on this version.
Yeah, from their perspective, the sudden departure was much more
Yeah,
people.
like it was a almost true apocalypse where everybody disappears, and so she's walking through an Earth with no people on it. Basically.
Well, with
very few. I say no, but yeah, right. Practically, she
can go places and get whatever she wants, and no one's there to stop her.
But she's also she's in Australia, so she's attempting to get back to the States to visit her old home. And to do that, there's no one to fly a plane or drive a ship. So she has to figure that. She says it takes her a long time to do these things.
Yes, she does.
Much longer because there's just no way around. So she eventually gets back to her hometown. She sees her house, and there's her kids. They're alive. They're
Older.
more grown.
Yeah.
There's her husband.
He's a new wife.
He's moved on.
Yep.
And so in their world, they were actually some of the lucky ones because they beat the 2% average.
Yes, that's right.
They had a bunch of folks stay, and they just had the one person, Nora, leave.
Right.
So as she sees them, she decides, all right, they're good. I'm not going to intervene. I'm going to let them, they have closure. I'm just going to leave it.
Yeah.
Big decision to make, by the way.
As a ghost.
I mean, I can see one making that decision, but having gone through all she went through to get there,
right? I mean,
it's like, oh,
really? It's unfortunate that they can't. I mean, they made a big point for most of the series where the people who were suffering the most could not use the typical ideas about loss. So someone died, and so I understand that. I can perhaps survive that. But because they went away, we don't know what happened. They couldn't grieve.
They don't want closure.
They don't. Right. We couldn't grieve it appropriately.
And as it turns out, they're right. These people that were saying they're not dead, they're gone, are theoretically, if we believe Nora, are right.
Right. Exactly.
There people do live out there.
And
somewhere.
I'm going to break in with this because while it's a nice ending. Why couldn't they just go back and forth all the time? Why, why couldn't, like
so she
now
goes,
this machine works. It doesn't microwave you.
She found the scientist. I was thinking the same thing. So she finds a scientist who had gone through.
Yes.
He agrees to build the device and send her back.
Yes.
Which he does, and she says, and so like she has an amazing story to tell.
She can tell those women that it works. Hey, you want to?
And you would think that at least
now you don't have to run around. You have someone who prove that they went.
Right, and you would think at least a section of the population, specifically those scientists and anybody that was following them, would believe her. Right, that she would be. Look, I found the scientist. He sent me back. This is awesome. We can totally look. It's a deal now. Let's do this. Right. And so. That was a little odd. I agree. Like they just dropped that point.
Well, it shows you that it's not the most important thing.
Right. So
that's not what the show is about.
She returns, and so we might as well just carry this through. She is now back in Earth 1, but she does not feel like people will believe her, especially Kevin.
Right.
And so while she does communicate with the Lori who didn't die, you predicted it. God, I was so sure.
Everybody was. I was reading a review.
It was a little bit of a cop out to be like, well, she's not. We set it up as suicide, and then she's fine.
Yeah. See, for me, it's like you weren't paying attention.
Okay.
Especially people who skipped the first season.
Not entirely.
To me, that story, the first season story is she's so bereft over the loss that we don't exactly learn about until towards the end of the season, that she's not able to be with her family, and the person who's suffering the most for that is her daughter. And her daughter eventually decides to join her mother in this death cult and nearly dies. And it's then that Lori is able to go to her husband and say, you have to go save her. Screw this stupid religion.
I agree.
And so in the second season, she can't communicate with her daughter. Daughter is too resentful.
Sure.
So here, finally, and even in the beginning of this season, she's like, I don't want to talk to you because she'll want to apologize.
Too much.
And then the final time, the only time they have any connection positive in that is that episode where she decides to kill herself.
Well, I'm just saying, that whole episode was, it wasn't even foreshadowing. It was knock you over the head foreshadowing with suicide. Then she gets the call, and then she's still like, yeah, might as well jump off anyway. And you think her whole reason for going out there to jump off was to die. So you would think, hey, I got this phone call. Wow. Huh. Oh, there's a storm coming as well. You know what? I've changed my mind. Let's go back in. No. The fact that they had her jump in was like,
why not? Hey, I came out of here to take a swim. Let's take a swim.
Okay. All right. Anyway, I'm just saying.
You can certainly look at that as a way of her to let it go. So
I'm glad. Considering that we find the resolution to that like 2 episodes later, it wasn't a big deal. Like if they'd have saved that for a season and then be like, oh, she's been alive. Then as it turned out, it's fine. It was fine in the context of things. It worked out. It wasn't too much of a gimmick.
No.
So I'm fine with it.
But you.
It did fool me, and I'll describe how it fooled me even more earlier. Great. I'm one
Death
of the
lovers.
So she's been
Isn't that a nice story where she killed herself?
it's so much better that way.
Yeah.
Nora has been talking to Lori as her psychologist. As you remember, she gave her a cigarette as payment.
Yep.
So she's been talking about, but in secret. So Lori hasn't told anybody that Nora exists, especially Kevin.
Yep.
And so all this time's been going on because Nora thinks that Kevin wouldn't believe her. That he'll think, oh, you just ran away, and you've just been hiding from me all this time, and how do you resolve that?
I think it would have been more difficult for Lori if Kevin was also her, like, I gotta go back again. This year I have to go back. Okay, well, have fun.
I know. That's the thing. Like, there is a part of, like, man, Lori was like...
I don't think she knew. That's why she was like, huh. Oh, he's there. Huh.
Oh, you don't think that Lori knew that Kevin was doing a search for her?
Nope.
Okay, because that would be... It would be weird to be like...
Yes.
I'm going to search for Nora again. I'm going to use all of my money. This is my one vacation each year, and I'm doing it again. I'm going to go try to find her.
Yeah, no.
I would at least be... If I was Lori, I'd say... Doot. Nora, please tell him.
Yeah, right.
He's coming to look for you. Exactly. Jesus, come on.
Yeah, to me, I clearly didn't know what he was doing.
Okay.
And he's certainly, he's done all sorts of things he doesn't tell her. So.
All right, so let's take it back just a second here. So the opening is Nora preparing to go into the machine.
Yes.
Which, at that point, we think could very well kill her.
Yes.
We have no real reason to think it actually works.
And and from the fact that we already know that she's in the world as we know it. It's the only world we've ever seen that seems like a world and not some strange dreamscape. That she probably doesn't go through with it.
Right. Although, okay, we might as well do this. For about 2/3 of this episode, I was so stoked that I had nailed it in our last review. For the last episode, I theorized that future version of Nora was when Nora uses the machine, she goes into the same world that Kevin went into when he dies, and that she's going to have some kind of this mission, a quest to discover that Kevin's important to her, and then she'll come back.
She gets out of the bathtub, and they put on an old cap on her hair.
Yeah.
Well,
she
old
has
makeup.
She gets in the machine and comes out. She's like, oh, and it's like, oh, in that moment, she's now in a dream world. Is what I was thinking. And she's there, and we see Lori, but Lori's dead, according to me. I mean, I thought she was. So I'm like, that's fine. That still works. And then Kevin comes up and he says he's visiting. I'm like, well, he's probably visiting into her dream world. He's found a way to visit. I'm like, this is totally working out. And then it wasn't that at all. But, okay. So, all right. It was actually the real world. It was Earth 1.
Yep.
So Nora gives her little, hey, I'm Nora, and I agree to this. And they don't believe her. They make her do it again. Make her think about her kids, which is what makes her sound more believable. She wants to see her kids again. She has a nice going away moment with her brother Matt, where they do a Mad Libs obituary.
Yes.
Which apparently was a thing that he did to help her feel better when she was away at camp back when she was a girl.
Christian camp or whatever.
And he called her the bravest girl in the world or something like that.
Yes, that's right.
And so that's how he sends off this particular when they say goodbye. And he, of course, is dying. We know that he's got an illness, and we learn later that he did die, and they had a funeral,
right,
and
she didn't attend. She'd said her goodbyes already.
Nora did not attend, and Kevin was kind of upset with her. But the wife did
not
attend.
Not even there, though. She probably wasn't even there.
No. Right, she was on. It was on the other. Oh, that's what you're saying. Was
She's
was
gone
she
so
in the other
long.
Side of the world?
Like, how much time did he get?
That's very possible. Yeah.
Although maybe because she was keeping it to herself. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
Because he did live for a while. I got the opinion that he didn't just die.
It seems like it. I mean, probably didn't die. Certainly didn't die there.
But his wife was either gave a eulogy or something like.
Yes, Kevin gave a eulogy.
So that means that they were together, perhaps. Or at least
maybe
reconciled in some way, because
once he revealed, because she probably didn't know that he was dying.
Yeah. So
and he'd given up on his crazy quest because they're the storm passed or whatever.
Yeah, we do. So Kevin Senior is still alive in this world. He's in his 90s, and they call him immortal. I mean, so that we don't really know what happens after Kevin Senior does that, sitting on the roof, like,
no,
what now?
Yeah.
But he carried on.
Right.
Like, oh, I guess I was wrong. So Nora makes her peace. They give her these really complex set of instructions. I mean, they're not complex, but it's like involved. It goes involved. Yes. And the place couldn't be creepier. Like, you could probably dress it up, do a little bit of like, if you wanted people to really like embrace the idea of going to the other side, I don't know, hang a poster. I don't know, like it was like, we're going to go into this incredibly dark van filled with machinery. You're going to sit in a clear ball, and then we're going to just fill it with water-ish substance that you can't breathe, and you'll drown. But in that moment, you'll go through, and like it has like all of your fears are just like put into one place. The dark, drowning.
Yeah, they put you in a little box there, but they didn't put you in a bunch of water.
Yeah,
I should test that too.
Be naked, walk naked around first. It's just like you could wear a robe until the last second. I don't know. Like they were just like, no, this is creepy town. So she goes through creepy town, and the one thing that was interesting is the hint we get that it's actually not a suicide machine. Is they have that souvenir? They have the cutaway sphere with the outline of a body in it.
Well,
and so it's like the gel hardened around this person's body,
right?
And the body isn't there anymore,
right?
So it's like, oh, the body did something happened to it.
Well,
anyway, I mean, it doesn't say.
Cooked.
Sure, it could have just been gone, but she's like, oh, you can have that, man.
Yes,
you can have mine,
right?
So she does the machine. It's a big long setup, kind of suspense. Will she go through with it? She goes through with it. Boom, she's in this other world. Yes. I'll say this. Can one make a living raising pigeons for weddings? Is that like her whole career? She apparently raises, I don't know, it's probably not her only job. Or she lives off the land. I don't know. But she has pigeons.
Yes.
She gives them to the local nun, who then uses them in local weddings for people to put little, aspirational messages on. And then the pigeons all fly back to Nora.
Yes.
And then she takes the messages off
and
then sends the pigeons back. I'm like, and are there that many weddings happening in that small area? Anyway, but whatever. Yes, that's how she lives, and she lives a good living. Yeah. So that's kind of her thing, is to send these pigeons off and then get them back, and then send them off and get them back. And one of the little plot devices that come later is the pigeons don't come back, at least right away.
Right.
And so that's a departure, basically. It's that, wait, why are these things gone? And there's no good reason for it. I think that's like a little microcosm of the departure.
Okay.
Like every day this happens. This is what's supposed to happen. Suddenly it didn't happen.
Right.
And she's very upset about it. Has to go confront the nun about it.
Right.
What have you done? What blah 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 blah? And I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was I love that because she was all like, that is weird. I don't know. I did everything I was supposed to. It's like, what about that guy? That guy was around there. Was there a guy? Well.
Which I like the fact that the guy used a ladder and didn't just like on the door, but whatever. Yeah, he was
sneaking out.
The nun having an affair with a guy who rides a motorcycle. But anyway, I just felt like that was a little microcosm of Nora having to explain things and feeling that somehow either someone's trying to pull one over on her again or what was going on.
Yeah, she certainly, that was, it was like...
And the Dove's Eternity.
If you think about all the things that happened to her, it was another calamity that, like the Book of Job or the Book of Nora.
The Book of Nora.
So she was like, it was all about this stuff that was happening to her. It was like, oh my God, what is going on? So it was very much from her perspective, and it seemed like she was just going through crisis after crisis.
Yes. Now, the one thing also that made me think it was still part of her, like she was in the afterlife dream state.
Yes.
And then it became kind of disappointing when she wasn't, because it seemed so symbolic and kind of like, this is symbolism over this real world.
Too. Wait, no, I wasn't.
No, like was the goat. So the goat is sent off with all the sins of everybody represented by the beads.
Right.
Like, put your sins on the goat, and
Right.
it goes off. She's riding home, and her bike either hits the goat,
No,
I don't know, hits
no,
something.
no.
She falls down. The goat is now stuck on the fence. The
What
sins
happened
of the
was-
world have
what happened
attached to the
was,
goat.
the beads that were on the goat get caught in her bike, and so that's why she goes flying.
Gotcha. All right.
So when she noticed that these beads,
They're
there's a
like,
trail of
duh, 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 duh,
beads, she finds the goat stuck to a fence.
And she has to climb the mountain
Yeah,
and
and she
keep
falls
sliding
down.
back down and climbing the mountain. And she finally gets, and then she puts the sins of the world on herself. It's a very symbolic act. The whole thing is very symbolic. And so it seemed like a dream quality type thing. And then I was like, no, that actually happened. It felt a little, I don't know. It felt a little
They
weird.
sent a goat out, and the goat got stuck. And because the goat had this stuff on it, she fell
Okay.
on it
All right.
and then found him. You know.
It just seemed
That's
it
weird.
seemed too symbolic for
Not-
like a real world thing. That's all. I'm just going with it.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't a deal breaker. It didn't destroy the episode, but I was just like, okay, that seemed a little forced. We're going to talk about forced things in American Gods that I thought was a little way over the top on that. But in this case, that was the one item that was like, I'm doing it in my hands. Sins. Anyway, okay. But so Kevin Jr. shows up.
Yes.
She knows that he's been looking for
Yeah.
because
We actually,
the nun says, hey.
It essentially starts where the previous time we saw her ends.
Yeah, well, we saw the little...
So we now see fully the interaction where the nun asks her if she knows someone named Kevin.
Right.
And so we see that no, it's not.
And the nun's like, nun knows she's lying. Because she says something like, oh yeah, this guy, he came up and asked for you. I said you didn't know him, but I think he could tell I was lying.
Right.
So she's kind of just saying it right there. Yeah, you know. And Kevin did know that she was lying.
Yes.
Could read that the nun was lying.
Right.
And so...
But he had years of experience.
He did.
Asking people about Nora.
Right, he's a cop. So, and also, yeah, she was Nora. So he shows up at her house and claimed, in the moment, he's like, no, I was just riding by, I was just here on vacation. Last time we met was that time way long ago, and I should ask you to dance, and I didn't. Boy, I really regret it. Would you go to the dance with me? And so, again, this is where I still thought, see, Dream World, because it's a different reality, where they didn't actually get together.
Yeah, it was an example of how they were fucking with you.
Yeah. But no, it's actually Kevin lying.
Yes.
Just to try to avoid having to talk about why they broke up.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So if I just skip it,
Yep.
then we never broke up.
Right.
And we can just move on.
Right.
And so she calls Laura. That's when she calls Lori.
And she tells him to go away.
Right. Then she
Please
calls Lori.
go
He's like,
away.
I'll be at the dance.
Yep.
I'll be waiting for you.
Yep.
She calls Lori. Lori's like, just go. I mean, basically, it's like, she doesn't say go, but
she
she's
says,
like...
do you want to go? And she's like, no, I don't want to go. Like, oh, well, why'd you call me then?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because to see if you did it. You know I didn't do it.
So she goes. She decides to go. She gets all gussied up. The door to her bathroom breaks, and she has to, or sticks, and she has to
I think she
force her way out.
I think what I imagine is that this is a metaphor for her about the
Symbolism.
the rest of her life. Is it going to be her alone?
Right. She
without
has to.
anybody to help her.
It also shows her level of interest in knocking down that door to go be with someone.
Okay.
That she could have, if she was like, oh, well, fine.
Yeah.
I want to go and be with people,
She's not
especially
actually
Kevin.
suicidal. She actually does want to connect with people, or certainly doesn't want to die alone.
So she goes to the dance, which is actually a wedding, not for her, or him. They do have a dance. It's a very emotional moment. But then she says, like, this isn't real.
Well, in the course of that, we find out about what happened to everybody else.
Okay.
She asks, so she started asking him, it's like, oh, you're such a good memory. You remember these people.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, you actually remember the name of my kids. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
That's kind of creepy.
Creepy stalker person.
Pot kettle.
Yeah. Right, says the guy who spent, I don't know, 15, 20 years, like, coming there every year trying to find her.
Yeah.
We find about his kids.
Right.
they've both been married.
His
Tommy
grandfather.
had
You
some
find
kind
out
of a
about
divorce.
their neighbors.
Right. And yeah, people are. I mean, we find out about the Matt's funeral as well.
Right.
So yeah, we don't see any of that stuff. We just kind of it's wrapped. It's a Kevin Nora centric thing, which is kind of what the series is.
Yep.
You know, when it comes down to it. So they had this touching moment together, and then Nora says, "No, this isn't true. This isn't real," which is right. It's based on this lie that Kevin's saying that they never met when they actually have all its history. And so she leaves, goes back to her house. I'm not sure what happens before Kevin shows up, but Kevin goes and finds her at the house and gives his
Oh, that's when he
speech,
sees
but
the goat.
That's when she sees the goat, right? Okay, so we have the goat moment, symbolism,
Right, the goat.
and yeah, what? Sorry.
And that's when she interrogates her about the nun about that stuff.
Right. And the nun's like, oh, they're just not back. I don't know, maybe they went off and delivered their messages. So Kevin shows up, has a great speech there where that was maybe my favorite moment of the bit was like him coming back and going, okay, fine,
Yes,
I lied,
yes.
but
I couldn't believe that you were dead.
Yeah.
And I just came here year after year, whenever I had time, vacation time, just asking anybody.
I get 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks, and I would just ask everybody. And every year I would say, I'm not going to do it. Why am I doing this to myself? But I couldn't let it go.
Yeah. And so it's a very, very powerful monologue. And then she just says, "You want some tea?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Sure, yes." And then they have this moment, and then the rest of it is her telling this story about what happened, and that she didn't think he would believe her.
Right.
And it's a very close-up, intimate thing. Like the camera's like right there on their faces.
Yep.
As they sit at this table drinking tea, and she says, he says, "I believe you."
Why wouldn't I?
And why wouldn't I? You're here.
Yeah.
And she says, "I'm here." And that's the last line of the series. Very appropriate. The doves return
Yes.
at the end as we pull back. And that's the extent of it.
Yes.
And it began with the "Let the Mystery Be" song again.
Yes.
Which I thought was also
Yes. The
fun
first,
callback to the
the
second
penultimate episode had the first season theme.
Right.
And the final episode had the second season theme.
And they didn't exactly let the mystery be. I thought, they actually did explain it somewhat. They gave you the reality's split in two thing.
Well, we don't know why that.
Oh, we don't. There's a lot we don't know yet.
Yeah, so
but they gave
so they had to let that mystery be.
They gave us this. Now, here's one thing. I'll just bring this up. This is probably not going to be a popular opinion.
Oh, let's hear it.
But so Nora and Kevin.
Yes, Nora and Kevin.
Kevin, very likable, flawed hero.
Yeah.
I don't really like Nora.
You don't? I love Nora. I love her.
I'm like,
I
man,
identify strongly with her.
She is a
what
jerk.
She said. Yeah, it's true.
I like to the point that you're like, I'm gonna chase her for the rest of my life. Like, okay.
Yeah,
all right. There's no one else in the world that maybe might be a better match for you,
said,
Kevin Jr.
The point when the hostess of the wedding came over and said, "Oh, she's serious." Like, yep, wouldn't have her any other way. It's like, but they showed you a number of times how they were together.
Right.
And the way that she could have a sense of humor about her world, where it was really a dark humor, actually. And he enjoyed that in a way that was different than Lori.
I mean, but you think about the way they left off, which is that argument they had in the hotel room, and he's like, maybe you should go join them, which she does. We're talking about her kids. Yeah. And then he stomps out.
And she said she needed to. She said it was, he was saying he was wrong, and she was like, no, I did need to do that.
Yeah. But it's just like, to think you go from there to, I'm going to follow you for the ends of the earth. That's a tough.
Well, he had to see exactly the things that he experienced in life.
Yeah.
The whole,
his
inability.
He realized that he needed her.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, she is a jerk. in a lot of ways. She would be a hard person to get along with.
Because I would
day-to-day
say
basis.
that Kevin's kind of a jerk. It's like it's a nice thing for you to sacrifice what you want for other people to the point where you resent them for it. Okay, why don't you live your own life, jerk?
I'm just thinking, like, I could see these two people, like, oh, God, we found each other, drinking tea. 1 week later, yeah, you know what? This isn't working out. I'm going to go back to the States.
Not me.
And you guys...
Not me.
Okay. No,
not me.
No, they're together, obviously. That's what it's about, and they found each other.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anyway. So,
it's like, if you look at the first season... the extent that they both, came to each other, it's like they were both really put upon by the world, and I think that their coming together was very natural in terms of what they offered each other. And I think in the second season, it was just as apparent, and the fact that...
It was actually more apparent in the second season and the third season. I thought the third season was more about just major character flaws that were keeping them from being together. But
I mean, to the extent where the things that they wanted to do was driving them apart, and no way those could be resolved. If he kept going to this other world and stayed there, she couldn't be with him, because when her only out, she doesn't have this ability to go to another crazy dream state. Only he has that ability.
Although, interestingly, she did go to another world and came back.
Right, but she couldn't go to that world and be a part of that life anymore. And one thing they kind of established is that the husband wasn't really with her, actually. I think they did in one of the things talk about how he was having an affair or something like that. So that relationship was flawed in some way.
It is interesting, too, that they just... Whatever, this is an aside, but they both undertake kind of that quintessential hero's journey. The Joseph Campbell hero's journey, where they go to the other side, you go to another world, and you come back, and you return to the life you had before, but you are now a changed person, and so hence your life is now changed. And usually it's one person or the other does it. Right. In this case, they both had this, I will go to this other world, I'll come back a changed person. And two heroes unite. Yeah.
So like scenes where Kevin and Nora were in the bathtub talking about how they want to deal with their life.
Be cremated.
It's like other people could have more of a sentimental attachment and feeling about those decisions, but they didn't have that. They can joke about how I'll burn you up real good, and she can be like, no, I want you stuffed, and I want you hanging. If you're gonna be stuffed, I'm gonna have sex with you. So
a mustache on you.
Because I want you. Yeah. They want each other. So.
And they got each other.
Yeah.
They were old people at the end, but they, damn it. Of course, they always use the machine to go back. I don't know if that actually makes you younger. I guess it wouldn't help, but they could go to the other world. I don't know what that does for them. All right, never mind. Sorry. They might. Who knows? Does she have? No, she doesn't have the machine. The machine's still trapped in the other world, I guess.
No, they still. I mean, those
but they have the
people
machine.
are still doing
scientists
it.
Or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those women are still doing it, I presume.
Do we? Yeah, we presume.
Yeah, it's not like oops, we didn't mean to send her. We meant to kill her. Whoops, we don't. They don't know what happens.
Actually, think about this. In the thing totally unrelated to the actual meaning of the show, but in the good, they actually have just created like a whole new Earth, like for an environment that you could like. Hey, we need more resources. Yeah. I know where we can get them. You could just in terms of like solving world hunger. You have now twice the amount of space as you have the people.
True.
You've solved overcrowding. I mean, if you had a way to go back and forth, you could like totally like, why don't we make it a 50-50 split? Hey, check it out. Now the world's fine again.
Well, it's like I guess if you, we don't know, but presumably. That Earth is identical to us, but now they have much less people affecting that Earth.
Right. So it probably is a much better off pollution-wise Earth.
Well, it's probably the same as at that moment where everybody left.
Right.
I would think. I mean, we don't know, but I would think it's like, okay, we've had all these years of pollution because look at all these things that are around. It's the same Earth. But because they're all disappearing and not producing, not driving around.
Yeah,
as
those
much.
smokestacks aren't generating
Right.
the smoke anymore.
So it's sort of like if people had the most optimistic plan for the Earth, let's stop doing all this stuff, and they actually did. So, so in terms of helping you, it's like, okay, let's send a bunch of people over there just so we can more slowly kill ourselves.
Right. Or we could just hop to a new planet, leave old planet behind. I don't know, and whatever. Like, oh, this Earth 1 is kind of in trouble. Hey, look, Earth 2 is doing much better. Let's go over there. I'm just saying, it would be an interesting, but not at all related to this storyline plot thing of.
Well, yeah,
we have a new Earth we can.
Yeah, I mean,
explore.
certainly the whole thing. Yes, yeah. Why can't people go back and forth?
Right.
It's like, what you'd get of it necessarily. I don't know. I mean, that's
also apparently there were no ill side effects.
Right.
I mean, she's an old woman.
Right.
She's gone twice.
Right. The only people who I would imagine suffered, is one, Lori's embryo probably did not survive.
Yeah, you would think.
No.
Yeah, unless it went into a host, but it wouldn't go into a host.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess,
That's
baby,
a good point.
That baby probably.
Everyone else that we know of, I think, that went through probably survived.
Well,
but,
and the other person we know is the baby of the woman.
Yeah.
So her baby went over there.
Depending though.
So
that baby had a little time to survive. Maybe somebody could have found
Well,
it.
it's like if other people in that area also, then somebody could have taken care of that baby.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it seemed like it wasn't just her in
Right.
that area. There were other people like, what the heck happened? I was driving a car.
Yeah.
Now the guy's gone.
Yes, exactly.
So, so that baby probably is okay.
But yes, you're right. Good point. Good point. Lori, yeah, that's wow. That's dark.
Yeah. And there are a bunch of criminals over there.
They've got they can do Perfect Strangers over there.
Yeah, they can now.
Yeah, they can do that. We did learn one other thing as we Kevin Jr. says he's not immortal.
Right.
He says he had a heart attack.
Right.
Which obviously is somewhat maybe related to his dream world where they had to cut the key out of his heart. He says, you want to see the scar?
Right.
Which he had a scar in the dream. I don't know if there's something related to that or not, but maybe being drowned over and over again.
Maybe check to make sure that they put in a pacemaker and not a key.
Right. Good point. Good point. So, yeah, we don't really know why he didn't die in the past, but that's fine.
No, we don't know.
So that's one of the let the mystery be
We
moments.
really don't know.
Yeah, okay, fine. So yeah, that's it. The series.
Yes.
Awesome series. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
And hoping for other awesome things from HBO as they tend to put out some quality stuff.
It'll be interesting to see what Damon Lindelof does next.
Oh, I did notice they dropped the name Lost a couple of times, or they said like, I was traveling around, I was lost. I don't know. It was just kind of interesting. Like, I don't think. Anyway, enjoy. We'll be back soon to talk more about American Gods.
Yes.
And later in the summer, Game of Thrones comes back.
Oh, yeah.
So get ready for that.
Let's get ready.
All right. Anyway, see you, everybody.
Everybody is
Bye now.
wondering